It's summer 2022. Dr. Melanie Cass was on staff at Baylor Scott and White Surgery Care. It's a surgery center found in the north part of Dallas. It's the type of facility where relatively healthy patients can go, have a procedure done, and then leave later on in the day. Melanie isn't just your normal run-of-the-mill doctor. She's a well-respected anesthesiologist known for her calm and confident presence that just makes people feel safe. Outside the operating room, Melanie enjoys cycling, taking strolls with her dog Tripper and Shiner in Lakewood, which is this peaceful neighborhood found right outside of White Rock Lake, and sharing in the joys of life with her husband John, who also is a doctor. But that summer, something felt off. By mid-June, both Melanie and John fell ill. So on June 21st, Melanie did what any reasonable doctor would do. She decided to rehydrate with a saline IV. She had done it 100 times before for her patients. No big deal. So she came home from work carrying one of those IV bags that she had grabbed from the warmer and asked John to help her set it up. I mean, what harm could come from something that's so routine? But within a few minutes, everything had changed. John was out of the room when his phone rang. It was Melanie. She wasn't okay. "I'm in pain," she said, her voice panicking. John sprinted towards her, his heart pounding as he found his wife in agony. He calls 911. While still on the call for help, Melanie collapsed. Her heart had stopped. John suddenly thrust into the unthinkable, performing CPR on his wife, trying to revive her life. As paramedics worked frantically trying to revive her, John heard those devastating words that he would never forget. "Okay, we're going to have to call it." Dr. Melanie Casper had passed away. Before we dive into today's story, I want to take a moment to share a quick disclaimer. This video includes medical crimes, malpractice, and other sensitive events that may be distressing to some viewers. I want to be mindful of the victims, families, and individuals that have been directly impacted by these events. Please remember, while I did my best to research and prepare this information accurately, this is not medical advice or legal counsel. Everything discussed is based on publicly available information, and the details are still evolving over time. Be sure to check us out online to get access to the show notes. With that being said, let's jump back into it. Something was seriously off with Melanie's case. She was healthy. She had an active lifestyle. Everything seemed totally normal. How could she have had a heart attack? This was the question that weighed heavily on everyone. It wasn't until the autopsy that the awful truth would come to light. The medical examiner's report was shocking. Turns out that Melanie didn't have a heart attack. Nope. That IV bag, it had been tampered with. The autopsy results showed that she had bupivacaine, a powerful anesthetic that's used to numb the body during surgery, in her system. But this drug isn't meant to be in an IV bag. And in large doses and in the bloodstream, oh, it's lethal. This wasn't some freak accident. This was deliberate. But who would do something so sinister? In the days that followed, some strange things started happening to patients in the surgery center. Patients who should have walked out of the surgery center healthy were suddenly fighting for their lives. On July 7th, a patient undergoing a minor surgery suddenly went into cardiac arrest. The medical team worked frantically to successfully stabilize the situation, but still scratching their head trying to figure out what just went wrong. Then on July 15th, the same exact thing happened. 10 days later, July 25th, once again, the same events. Each time, patients that had been stable and healthy before the operation suddenly had severe medical complications right after getting an IV bag out of the warmer, just like Melanie. By August, the surgery center could no longer ignore these disturbing patterns. An internal investigation was launched, and the staff looked at the surveillance footage of the operating room and the hallways. Then they spotted something strange. The footage showed Dr. Ronaldo Ortiz, an anesthesiologist, repeatedly placing IV bags into the warmer, only for patients in other operating rooms to receive those IV bags and have severe medical emergencies shortly after the IV drip was started. On August 4th, for example, Dr. Ortiz can be seen placing an IV bag in the warmer at 11:35 a.m., scanning the area to see if anybody was looking before quickly walking away. An hour later, a 56-year-old woman undergoing a minor cosmetic procedure suddenly goes into cardiac arrest. Emergency treatment was able to save her, but the IV bag came directly from the warmer that Dr. Ortiz had accessed. 5 days later, on April 9th, the same scenario played out. Dr. Ortiz can be seen on the footage leaving his operating room with an IV bag in hand, looking around the hallway to see if anyone notices him before he places the bag in the warmer and then quickly walks away. Shortly after, a 78-year-old man undergoes a severe medical complication while undergoing wrist surgery. Just like before, the IV bag used during his care came out of the warmer. It became clear every time Dr. Ortiz touched an IV bag, a patient crashed. The pattern was undeniable. The FDA, Dallas police, and the FBI were called in to investigate. The surgery center was now a crime scene, and Dr. Ortiz was the primary suspect in a string of medical tampering incidents. The investigation revealed that there were multiple incidents that occurred in August, each time involving IV bags and Dr. Ortiz. It became evident that Dr. Ortiz was deliberately tampering with these bags, knowing that they would be used on other patients that he wouldn't even be responsible for treating. But why? As investigators dug into Dr. Ortiz's past, they uncovered a very dark history. He wasn't just a doctor with a dark secret. He was a person with a long and violent history. Back in 1995, Dr. Ortiz was arrested for assaulting his wife. 10 years later, another partner filed for an emergency protective order against him. By 2014, another domestic violence charge by a third victim. But it didn't stop there. Back in 2016, Dr. Ortiz was convicted for cruelty to animals. He had shot his neighbor's dog in the chest in cold blood just because the neighbor had dared to help out one of his abused victims and had agreed to testify in that protective order hearing. This wasn't just the man spiraling out of control in his personal life. He also had been the subject of multiple disciplinary actions in his medical career too. The most recent incident was just 2 days before the IV tampering began, a disciplinary action that had Dr. Ortiz fuming. And he didn't shy away from expressing his anger, telling one of his colleagues that, "I think they're trying to crucify me," and sharing with another doctor that the disciplinary actions that were to take place as a result of this investigation were going to be devastating to him financially. By December, the surgery center had identified 11 victims, all of whom had IV bags that were tampered with by Dr. Ortiz, involving drugs such as bupivacaine, epinephrine, and other drugs. By April 2024, the verdict was in. Dr. Ortiz was found guilty on all 10 counts. 5 counts of tampering with consumer products, 5 counts of drug adulteration. As of November 2024, the sentence hearings for this case have been delayed, but Dr. Ortiz faces life in prison for these convictions. Dr. Melanie Casper's passing is a heartbreaking loss that left a void in the lives of her friends, family, colleagues, and many more. Though her case wasn't included in the final charges against Dr. Ortiz, her story served as an alarm bell that uncovered many hidden dangers that were lurking within the surgical walls and ultimately saved countless lives. Dr. Casper's memory, just as in life, became a force that saved others. May her spirit live on. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with some important advice. If you ever find yourself uncertain about a healthcare facility or provider, there are some steps that you can take to protect yourself. For one, you can go to the Joint Commission website. Here you can find information such as accredited facilities, as well as a safety history. If there's a healthcare provider that you need more information on, you can go to the Federation of the State Medical Boards. Here you can find information such as criminal history as well as any disciplinary actions. It's really hard for me to understand what goes on in the minds of people who commit crimes like these. But what are your thoughts on this story? Let me know in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you don't miss the next show. Until then, stay safe. See you in the next one.